in road blue.
And Clay, what Auburn needs to be careful of here is the fact that Alabama, they will physically and mentally abuse you with their hands-on style of play if you let them. Do not let them take you out of your game and just take what they give you and then try to make stops on defense. Both teams struggle on the offensive end of the floor.
Alabama controlling that opening possession. There is a traveling call, early turnover for Auburn, and that was certainly a problem for Auburn in their most recent game. They turned it over 19 times against Vanderbilt. Tony Barbee in his first season as Auburn's head coach.
And the ball goes into Kenny Gabriel, but what does Alabama do? Right off the bat, they double team. They basically give him a little nudge physically, as I mentioned, get on him. He travels before he can get rid of the ball.
Alabama 18-8 overall. Since a loss at Vanderbilt on the 10th, they have won 3 in a row. Coming off a 13-point win here against Arkansas. Jermichael Green's shot comes up short. Tracking it down in the corner is Hines, but turns it right into the hands of Wallace.
Nice job by Adrian Forbes, staying down, blocking the shot.
Nice pass. There is Forbes for the flush.
And again, Auburn pushes the ball. Nice job by Wallace, showing some discipline, pulling it out. Waits for Forbes to get down, sees that he's open, splits the double team, and threads the pass.
Inside, Green had it stripped. Hines is able to collect it, and now Green goes up and draws the contact. So Jermichael Green will get to the free throw line. As you look at Anthony Grant, second-year head coach of the Tide, an impressive 3-year run at VCU, which included a couple of NCAA tournament teams, and he may have this team poised to go to the NCAA tournament.
Well, right now, there's no doubt that they are poised and ready for the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately for Alabama and Anthony Grant, when they started off the season, they lost to Iowa, they lost to Purdue, they lost to Seton Hall, they lost to Providence. You know, teams from the Power 6 conferences, but they were a different team back then. If they played those teams now, there's a good chance they would beat all of them, including Purdue.
No team better in the SEC since New Year's Day.
What was it? They started out 5-6, and since then they've been 13-2.
They have been outstanding since the calendar year started. 2-1, Auburn leads. Here comes Wallace into the front court. This is Ernest Ross. He had 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists against Vandy. Like you said, he's learning how to play. He's evolving every game.
But when he tried to come off that screen, Tony Mitchell got up underneath him and pushed him off the screen. That way they couldn't put a body on him.
Wallace hits the jumper. The walk-on point guard makes it 4-1 Auburn.
And talking to Tony Barbee, he said that is our catalyst. He's not a very good shooter. He's not a very good scorer, but he's the kind of guy that keeps things at an even keel for our team. And if he plays well, that really improves our chances for beating Alabama tonight.
And Jermichael Green throws it off Kenny Gabriel's leg. As we take a look at Alabama's season, clinched their first Western Division title since '05. They are 10-2. That's the best start through 12 games since the 2001-2002 season. But again, we said it before, Will, this isn't a done deal. They still have some work to do down the stretch.
Yeah, I think right now their RPI is a 79, and Joe Lunardi has them in the NCAA tournament, but as a 10 seed.
Davis misses the shot. Alabama gets a new shot clock. And a traveling call to turn it back over to Auburn.
I'll tell you what, as a freshman, Trevor Rutherford has done an excellent job of running this Alabama team because he's got a lot of horses here. So he's got, not only does he have to handle the ball, but he's got some egos to deal with, and there's some players that he needs to take care of, and he's got to pick and choose when he does that.
And now a violation on the end line, and Auburn gives it right back to the Tide.
And Josh Langford has to know that when he takes the ball out of bounds, the situation there is because of the turnover. You cannot move your feet, unlike after a made basket when you can run the in line.
You were talking about Relaford, two-time SEC Freshman of the Week. One of the nation's best point guards coming out of high school last year from Kansas City. There's Green fouled underneath again. Boy, this has been a physical game early on.
Well, as I talked about, Anthony Grant and the Alabama team will try to force their will on you on the defensive end of the floor. But they play with their hands up, but they play with their body. But the one thing they understand is you play defense with your feet. And if you keep your hands up, move your feet, you can get away with a lot of things and still be physical. Other teams, when they try to react to that aggressiveness, is when they pick up all the fouls, just like you see there.
There's Gabriel picking up the third team foul on Auburn.
And the last thing you want to do when you're playing against a team like Alabama, who struggles to, as good as they are, even Anthony Graham will say we go through droughts on the offensive end of the floor, is don't put them in the bonus early and allow them to score from the free throw line.
Relaford launches it into the backcourt. Hines tracks it down and draws a foul from Alan Payne. So Auburn picking up fast and furious here in the foul category.
It's a freshman. It's a sense that, okay, you pressure the ball, you make him pay to catch it, but there's no need now. He puts his right hand on the offensive player and reaches around. You're in a position where wait for him to pick the ball up, then pressure him up the floor and take some time off the shot clock.
4-1 Auburn on top. 17:35 to go, just getting underway here at Coleman Coliseum. There you see the team fouls, already 4 against the Tigers.
If you're curious how the first game went, it was a 2-point game with 5 minutes to go in the second half. Alabama goes on a 10-0 run and then pretty much puts Auburn away. So this game should be close the whole way through.
Mitchell had it stripped going up for the shot. And now a foul on Tony Mitchell.
And this Auburn team tries to emulate what Alabama does. When you talk to Tony Barbee, he says, listen, I have some good players, but they're young. They have talent, but they have potential. Their best years are ahead of them. And he says, we've taken the blueprint of what Alabama does. Auburn is a very good, solid defensive team, but he says it's the second chance opportunities that kill us. We do very well on first chance stops, but we allow too many second chance opportunities, too many unforced turnovers.
Gabriel feeds inside for Payne, spinning, contorting, gets it off the window and down. Payne is on the scoreboard, and it's 6-1.
Sorry, nice job of running that little UCLA cut, put Payne down in there, give him the pass, which the entry pass was too easy. The defender just decided to play behind him, and he was able to go up and under for the score.
Mitchell lost it, comes out to Relaford at the free throw line, spins it out for Davis. Double teamed on the baseline is Green, and there is another Auburn foul.
Again, as I mentioned earlier, Clay, play defense with your feet. Why reach for the ball? Just stay in front of the man, and you have the advantage if you have him pinned on the sideline.
You were talking about the first meeting, Will. It was a 10-point win for Alabama. Green and Mitchell, 15 points and 6 rebounds apiece. Ernest Ross was the leading scorer for Auburn. This is the 143rd meeting. And this is an Auburn turnover. Kind of a sloppy pace, really. Both teams still trying to feel each other out. A few mistakes, a lot of fouls called so far.
But this benefits Auburn at the present moment because of the fact that at times they struggle to score like Alabama in the half court. Tony Barbee mentioned it to me today when we were talking that we need to stay away from the empty opportunities.
Davis, he is a better three-point shooter at home. 36% on the year overall, but misses that one badly. Out of bounds. Auburn leads it by 5 early. For 4 from the field so far. Auburn has hit all 3 of its shots.
Well, the only consistent thing in this game is turnovers. 3 for Auburn and 4 for Alabama.
Scenario Hillman is checked into the game for Alabama. He is guarding Wallace, almost pulled off the steal. Wallace goes to the rack, rolls in. Wallace now with 4 points.
And a good job by Wallace as Auburn comes back now in a little soft press to try to take some time off the clock as he takes what the defense gives him. He gets by the initial line of defense. Nobody picks him up, so he takes it all the way to the basket.
Here is Hillman. Now for Steele, Andrew Steele. He has had an injury-plagued career. He steps on the end line, turns it over to Auburn.
A nice job by Gabriel that time. He kept his hands up, he moved his feet, and eventually he pushes the man towards the baseline, and eventually he steps out of bounds.
5th turnover for Alabama. 7-point Auburn lead. Trying to play spoiler here tonight as Auburn is hoping for the NCAA tournament. Good pass inside. Forbes reverse. He is fouled. He'll get to the line.
A little indecision that time by Forbes. He's got to catch, realize where the defensive is, which he did on his back, and then take it to the other side. That time he hesitated a little too long. He was thinking about dumping it off, but a little too much indecision.
First foul on Chris Hines as Forbes steps to the line, a 61% foul shooter. He played for the Jamaican national team during the summer of '09.
That was the thing when I came in and we were with the shoot-around today. I looked at Forbes and I was like, man, that kid's got a nice body. But as you and I were talking, and you're talking to Barbie, he doesn't have enough experience yet. He's still learning how to play the game. But yet, because of the lack of depth that Coach Barbie has, he has to put this kid in there and he has to play him.
Now this is a young team, no seniors. And Forbes got one of the two off the miss, the putback flush, and they're going to say no. That's going to be an interference call on Forbes as he slammed it down, so it stays 9-1 Auburn.
Well, the bottom line was it was a good call by the official. It was coming off the rim, but the ball was still in the cylinder. So technically that is goaltending. In the NBA, they usually let that slide.
What do you make of this start for Auburn?
Well, nice job. I mean, it's not, neither side's playing very well. But what the thing is you see right there, Auburn did a nice job. First basket, nice defensive job. Get the defensive rebound. Did you see the balls coming off? Well, I don't know. Now that we see from that angle, now the official was standing in front of us on the side. So it looked like initially that it was a good call, but when you look at it from straight on, it looks like the ball was outside of the cylinder.
It just gave JaMychal Green his first foul of the night. Payne leading in, and he is hammered by Hillman.
But Tony Barbie, the head coach of Auburn, has to be happy with how things are going. Now, I'm sure he's not happy with the turnovers, but the sense is we're talking about the fifth best defensive team in the nation in the Alabama Crimson Tide. And right now, Auburn is doing a nice job of attacking the defense. There's been a little 2-3, a little man-to-man. But the thing that they can ill afford to do now is when you get these free throws, you have to knock them down, because at some point you know that Alabama's going to lock you down and they're going to prevent you from scoring.
Alan Payne missed them both. Gabriel, the putback, got his own miss. Kenny Gabriel.
Well, I tell you, there's not many kids quicker in college or the NBA that get off the floor quicker than Gabriel. But the good thing he did was he kept it alive, and instead of grabbing it, bringing it back down, and then taking it back up, he kept it up on the rim. Watch how quickly he gets up off the ground. One, back down, back up. Too many times you see college kids that they grab the ball, they want to bring it down, they want to try to dunk it and put it behind their head. Don't worry about doing the fantastic thing. Do what's required to put the ball through the net.
SEC news and notes. Bruce Pearl and Tennessee were notified of their NCAA charges today. 12 total major charges against the men's basketball and the football team when it was under Lane Kiffin. Tennessee has 90 days to respond. This thing is going to play out well into the summer.
And unfortunately for Tennessee, this is going to hang over their heads all throughout the rest of the season, the SEC, and most likely when they make the NCAA tournament, it'll be a hot topic.
Auburn on a 9-0 run, and Wallace almost forced a turnover here for Bama. Relaford gets it ahead for Steele.
Okay, so we're almost 6 minutes into this game, and Alabama has 1 point.
They're 0 for 5 from the field so far. Relaford thought about a 3. Into the corner for Mitchell on the baseline. 5 to shoot, makes his move, and he stepped on the end line again.
That's twice now that Mitchell has stepped on the end line. But at the same time, though, you got to give Auburn credit. What they're doing is they're using that end line and that sideline as another defender, and that's the way they're pushing them. You want to keep guys out of the center of the floor. You cannot have a turnover and then get an unforced turnover on yourself.
And Auburn gives it right back. 6 turnovers for Alabama in the early going, 5 for the Tigers.
But you had an idea, because both these teams are defensive oriented, that this could possibly be the case. At some point now, both teams will settle down and start scoring some points on the offensive end of the floor. There will be a rhythm that will develop, a flow eventually.
Hillman, quick feed inside for Green, and he's bumped.
And that's the way you do it, though. Regardless of how good your team is, whether you're Vanderbilt with a John Jenkins who can shoot, out to like 25 feet, or a team that likes to drive the ball, you got to start by working inside out. When you got a guy like JaMychal Green in the post, you got to give him touches and let him make decisions, whether he can score or put the ball on the floor, attract a double team, and then find the open man around the perimeter, or the guy cutting to the basket.
Second foul on Adrian Forbes. Coming up on 13.5 to go first half here in Tuscaloosa. 10-point lead for Auburn. Green for Mitchell. Throws it up. And another foul on the Tigers inside. And it's the second on Ernest Ross as Mitchell will go to the line.
You know, don't be fooled when you look at the record of the Auburn Tigers. They may only be 2-10 in the SEC. When we talked to Tony Barbee, he said this team realizes that they're not that talented, that they're young. Not the sense that they can't play and they don't have any talent, but they're just learning how to play now at the college level. You got to make that adjustment from high school to college. But at the same time, he says we have gotten better. You talk to a lot of people, Clay, and they say when this SEC season started, they would have told you that there's no way Auburn's going to win a single SEC game. They've already won 2, and you're like, well, that's not very many. When you're talking about a team that a lot of people didn't think was going to win a single SEC game, you've won 2, and they have gotten better. This is going to pay dividends for them next year, and don't be surprised if they spoil somebody in the SEC tournament.
Well, we've already gotten wins over Florida State as there's another Auburn turnover. They've beaten South Carolina and Mississippi State this year.
But this is what Alabama does to you right here. Nice job. Trevor Relaford comes over, and again, he plays defense with his feet, stays in front of the man. When he seeks the opportunity, he takes a little swipe at the ball. And now this puts Alabama back on offense.
Alabama averaging almost 10 steals per game. That's 3rd in the nation. Now Green has it taken away. This is 7th Alabama turnover here tonight. Chubb for Gabriel. Almost went through his hands. And now Tony Neysmith will set it up. Here is Chris Denson for Alan Payne. The freshman goes into the paint. Gives off for Gabriel. Off the rim. Chubb taps it up and in.
Well, I tell you what, the biggest concern for Tony Barbee was second chance opportunities for Alabama, but right now that's exactly what Auburn is doing to the Crimson Tide.
The Tide still without a field goal here tonight. They are 0 for 5. And that was last touch by Auburn. And look at this Alabama defense this season. They rank 1st in the SEC in scoring defense, 1st in field goal percentage defense. And a lot of these are, you know, among the best in the country as well.
And what defense is it's effort and desire, regardless of how much talent you have or athletic ability. And that's the hardest thing to sell kids on, is that, you know what? Whether it's at this level or the next level, if you play defense, you'll open eyes.
Right now, they're down 10. Need to get something going offensively. Still without a basket. Other points coming from the free throw line.
But against this 2-3 zone that Auburn's putting out there, what they're not doing is getting the ball inside in the paint. Everything right now is on the perimeter.
2 to shoot. Getting it from the corner is Scenario Hillman. And that is not his forte. He is a defensive specialist.
But he got put in a situation with the shot clock winding down where he had to take a shot.
Denson has it swatted out of bounds by Green. There is a foul on Alabama. And it's going to go against Relaford.
Exactly.
That's SEC Network Hoops this Saturday, February 26th. Check your local listings. The games in your area. Chris Warren, always fun to watch. Could pose problems for these Tigers.
They could, and again, much like this game today, a game that they have to win to start padding that win column, in a sense that because of their RPI being so high, 79, I think your strength of schedule is like 158 or whatever. It's just, when you look at it from the outside, the resume doesn't look that good because they haven't beaten anybody out of conference, but I think they're still in a position where they will make the NCAA tournament.
Chris Denson gets the back end of 2.
When you look at the stat sheet, Clay, and it looks like something you see from Alabama. Points in the paint, Auburn 10, Alabama none. One of the stats we were talking to the coaches about today is Alabama has yet to be beaten in the paint all season long, and then turnovers, or points off turnovers. Auburn 7, Alabama 2, and then second chance points. Auburn 4, Alabama 1.
Green misses the hook shot out of bounds to the Tigers. And so far, the Tide have been out-rebounded by Auburn in this game.
But the thing that you see when you watch Alabama is that because of their defense, they know that they're never out of a game regardless of the score, because they know that their defense can get them right back in this game. Now this time Alabama changes things up, comes back in a 2-3 zone.
Neysmith hemmed in the corner. 8 to shoot. Wallace penetrates, pulls up, jump shot. Off the lip, no good, and pulled down by the Tide. Here comes Mitchell. From behind, checked and fouled. And it's on Langford, his second. Here's the tournament resume for Alabama. You mentioned the RPI at 79. Certainly some bad losses. Kentucky at Tennessee, those are wins that they hope will be enough to get them in.
When you look at it, it's the problem with Alabama is the fact that the Western Division is having a down season. So a lot of their teams that they've beaten hasn't really helped their strength of schedule or their RPI rating because they're teams that they're supposed to beat. As we talked about their in-conference wins that have really had an effect on that are Kentucky and Tennessee, but outside of that, not really. So that's why they have to beat Auburn. They have to beat Ole Miss because those are games that can really only hurt them.
Tony Mitchell got them both. All of his points tonight from the free throw line. He's got 4 as Hines comes back in for Alabama. Alongside Will Perdue, former star at Vanderbilt, 4-time NBA champion. I'm Clay Matvick. Auburn, full court press from Alabama. 14-8, Auburn on top. Trying to get it inside for Chubb, taken away by Hines.
You put that turnover on Chubb. What Chubb has to do when he's in the post, he has to step to the pass.
Hines, the alley-oop, and look out below. Jamichael Green.
We were watching this Alabama team prior to this game, and they actually were practicing that play, but practicing it without a defensive on the floor, and now that answered the question, why? See, Chubb steps up. Jamichael Green does a nice job of pointing up at the basket, thrower up over the top of the defense. That's poor communication on Auburn. They have to talk. You can't have 2 guys come to the ball. One guy commits, the other guy stays with his man, and then you have to cover on the backside.
Jamichael Green, 16 points, 9 rebounds, and he had 3 blocks against Arkansas on Saturday, just missing his 20th career double-double. Preseason All-SEC, and no doubt he is going to be a postseason recipient this year. And Alabama starting to get back into this one after Auburn jumped out to a nice lead.
Well, remember, it was 11-1, so they're on a 9-3 run here, but again, they're doing it with their defense. But they're starting to capitalize on the fact that the stops they made early on, they were not capitalizing. They themselves were committing turnovers and not getting shots up at the basket.
Shooting 60% in this game. They rank last in that category in the league. Now Alabama takes it back here. With 10 minutes to go in the half.
Now very repetitive. Again, Chubb's in the post. He's got to do a better job of stepping to the ball, but at the same time making himself available instead of just sitting there wrestling with the defense. If the defense has got you covered, spin around, take the ball, swing the ball to the other end of the floor.
Davis misses, backside rebound, steal. Gabriel with the contact underneath. And it's out of bounds to Alabama.
You see 22, Kenny Gabriel for Auburn's asking where his backside help was. He had his man blocked out, but yet he can only block out 1 guy at a time.
Here's Ben Eblin to trigger it in for the Tide. He's the backup to Relaford. Tries to get it for Davis. And they're going to say last touched by Davis. Good defense there by Denson for Auburn.
That time Denson, it looked like he thought he was going to commit the foul. Basically just tried to avoid number 24, Charvez Davis. Got lucky that time.
8 turnovers already for Alabama. Here's Wallace for Chubb. Quickly double team. Lowers his shoulder. Throws it off the side of the backboard. And it's out of bounds. Who's got it? Auburn does.
But Chubb's got to do a better job of catching the ball, then taking a breath. Even though that breath is only half a second. And read the defense. That time he caught it. Put it down on the floor immediately. Put himself in a hole. And then the defense came to help. And then he tried to force the shot up.
This is his 4th game back after a suspension for 2 games. Handed out by the team. Wallace high out the window, no good. Chubb tried to tip it in. Rebound comes down to Hines, and he quickly gets it ahead for Davis. Alabama down 4. Coming up on 9 minutes to go in the half. Steele. They work it around for Davis again. There's a foul away from the ball.
Getting a little chippy out there.
It's Rob Chubb, his first.
The funny thing is, when you see this, the teams that like to play aggressive defensively and offensively, they don't like it when teams give it back to them. And that time, Chubb and Hines were wrestling down on the post. The whistle's blown. There's a little extracurricular activity after the whistle. And Hines, I guess the official wasn't looking, gets away with a little shove.
Is this a basketball game or a football game? That's already the 9th team foul on Auburn. This does have an Iron Bowl feel to it.
Well, I think it's classified more as a wrestling match right now.
Right. Another free throw coming for Chris Hines.
And this makes it difficult for the officials to call this game because of the fact of the way it started out. As a coach and as a player, whether the coach is having a good, the officials are having a good day or a bad day, just be consistent both ways.
Pressure on from this defense, and it bears fruit. Hines has it, goes up, rolls off. Steele, and he is fouled. And it's going to be on Gabriel, his second.
Now, as you see this, what was the thing that Barbie told us about that we talked about earlier? Is he thinks his first shot defense is fine, but he was concerned about his second shot defense, giving them second chance opportunities. About the first 10 minutes of this game, that's what you saw Auburn doing. They were limiting, even when they had turnovers, they were limiting the Alabama to one shot, and at times creating turnovers and preventing Alabama from even getting a shot up. Last couple times down the floor now, you've seen Alabama's best offense is a missed shot. Go back and get the second chance opportunity. Either get to the free throw line or get the putback.
Bama has tied this one up. Ross finishes. Didn't look easy, but got it to go.
Well, he did a nice job of going from the left side to the right side, using the rim to protect the ball from the defense.
Ross had 20 against Alabama at Auburn last month. This is out of bounds right in front of us.
I was about to test your hamstring, see if you had hands or not.
No, I don't. I can tell you that right now.
But again, you see the trap in the corner. He sees that. Now he takes it from the left to the right, and you saw the defender tried to go and block the shot on the left side of the rim. Nice job of knowing where the defense was, but at the same time, it's the theory. Ball, body, defender.
9 turnovers apiece in this half already. Already 10 team fouls on Auburn. It's been that kind of half. Gabriel hopping to the block, spinning, shooting, and scores.
My understanding is you're allowed that move. You come down with both feet at the same time, but if you come down left, right, right, left, it's supposed to be a travel, but no call there that time.
Jarvis Davis launches up a 3, misses badly for the second time here tonight. That's his second air ball, and he's a 50% three-point shooter at home.
Auburn will live with that in the sense that that ball never went inside to the post. They'll let Alabama shoot over the perimeter all night long.
Hi. Well, this is where it all starts at Regions, where we build each of our customers a better banking experience. Hey, let's talk small business. There's some very sophisticated stuff in here. We have everything from business checking to loans for expansion. There's even a Regions cash flow analysis. But one of the best things is the personalized advice you'll get from a Regions business expert. Hey, Mary.
Hi, Mike. Thanks.
She really understands business. Is your small business ready for something better? Switch to Regions.
So what makes these so special?
The new Whirlpool Duet has 6 Sense technology, so it senses and adapts to all your laundry needs.
How about husbands?
Direct inject wash system eliminates pre-treating.
Twins?
Precision dispense for optimal fabric care.
How about this?
Quiet Spin 360 technology means you always hear what's going on.
I'll take it.
Sears introduces the new Whirlpool Duet. It works smarter, just like you. Save instantly with free standard delivery and haul-away. Sears.
Until they make a tank that's street legal, this'll have to do. The 2011 Toyota Tundra. There's tough, and there's Tundra tough. Now get a 2011 Toyota Tundra with 0% APR and make no payments for 3 months. Plus, get Toyota Care.
Introducing King Curtis.
I'm keeping it funky. Yes. What the hell is this? You know I don't do no diets, baby. Diets make you die. Everybody been eating my oatmeal raisin cookies. Is that an ice cream truck? Forgot these. You going up in that kitchen and you gonna cook and you gonna clean up. Do you understand? I ain't doing nothing.
House of Pain, weeknights at 10 and 10:30
on My 68.
Team from the field, but the problem is 9 turnovers.
And Alabama had 9 only against Arkansas, 10 only against LSU. Already past that. Langford got it to go. Josh Langford on the scoreboard. He was the top high school player in the state of Alabama last year out of Lee High School.
What did you just say, though? Last year, top high school player. Very young Auburn team that's out on this floor. And because of that youth, they're conducive to making mistakes.
Helped Lee win a state title. 6-point lead for the Tigers. Just over 7 to go. Green missed that jumper. Backside with his Relaford and a new 35 for the tie.
You credit that to Hines, who did a nice job of fighting off the Auburn player and getting his hand on the ball.
Tony Mitchell off the iron, no good. Hines trying to track it down in the corner. And who's got it? They're going to say it belongs to Alabama.
Sometimes if you can't block a guy off, one of the things that we were always taught is you face guard a guy. You turn around, sacrifice getting the rebound yourself to keep your man off the board and let one of your teammates get it.
Alabama's got to find the touch. They are 2 of 14 from the field. And another whistle. And this goes against Josh Langford. That's the 3rd on Langford already. And the 11th team foul on the Tigers.
Outside of the turnovers, which are to be expected with this young Auburn team, so I think they had 19 against Vanderbilt the other night, is just the mistakes they make amongst themselves that are unforced. One of the things that Tony Barbie talked about is that when this team gets caught up in the game, it's not like they feel the pressure, but they get a sense of urgency and they try to play faster than they're actually capable, trying to make up for the mistakes that they made, and then that basically just compounds the problem.
Gabriel comes back in as Langford sits down with the 3 personals. 2 field goals, a 3-pointer from Hillman and a 2-point basket from Green. Everything else has come from the line for Bama, and they are hitting their free throws. They are 11 for 12 here tonight.
And surprisingly, even with the made free throw, Alabama elects not to press this time. But they do drop back in a man-to-man.
And another whistle. This game just cannot develop any flow as Hines is dinged. That's the 2nd foul on him.
Now, remember what I talked about before we went to the timeout, Clay, how Hines kind of got away with a little shove on Chubb from Auburn. Now, what you don't know is during the timeout, did the officials get together and say, hey, this thing's getting a little chippy. We need to kind of tighten the screws a little bit. And to us, that looked like a touch foul compared to the style that this game had been played up to that point.
Gabriel from the baseline, nothing but net. Kenny Gabriel now leading Auburn with 6 points.
And a nice job by Gabriel. Just catches the ball, 1-2, left foot in the bucket, right foot squares him up, rises up, shoots that ball in rhythm.
Gabriel, his points per game are up 7 from last year in league play. He's one of the more improved players in the SEC this year. Lead back to 6 for Auburn, coming up on 6 minutes to go in the half. 10 to shoot for the tie. Here's Hillman, bumps into Gabriel, gets some separation, shot is strong, and off the backside, there's Ernest Ross.
Not a single touch by Jermichael Green in the post. I mean, he's working hard in there. Alabama's got to find ways to get the ball into the post, to collapse the defense, then you can pass out to the perimeter.
Gabriel shoots again, this time it's strong, off the heel. Hillman finally tracks it down. I sense that this crowd's a little anxious here.
Well, the last last thing they expected was for Auburn to be down 6 points in this first half.
Steele inside to Green, turns, and it rolls out. Jamichael Green still has just 3 points in this ballgame. He averages 16. Wallace, high off the window, no good. Backside, put back by Forbes.
But it's the penetration by Wallace, collapses the defense. Jamichael Green goes over to contest the shot, which then opens up the backside for Forbes in the offensive rebound. Bad rotation that time by the Bama defense.
Steele knifing his way to the hoop. Offensive foul called on Steele.
Whenever you see a call like that, Clay, the first thing you do when we're blocked out, you look at the coach. Looked at Anthony Grant. He didn't move, and obviously you can tell by the replay it was a good call by the officials.
10th turnover on the Tide here in the half. Already to 10 in this game. Hard to believe.
Let's see what Chubb can do here. He's been a nice player coming off the bench these last 4 games. Earlier he was in the starting lineup, but all he did was didn't get credit for the turnovers, but he caused a few turnovers. He needs to have a positive impact on this game here for Auburn to see if they can stretch out this lead.
He had 18 points and 6 rebounds. Career day against South Carolina earlier this year. Here's Neysmith now. He got that off the glass, and now it's 26-16. Auburn back to double digits in the lead column. A 12-2 run. Look at that. Alabama 2 field goals, 10 turnovers tonight. Mitchell. Nice reverse, can't finish. Neysmith plucks the rebound.
You've seen numerous times now where Alabama's taken it to the basket, but have not been able to finish. But Auburn doing a nice job of blocking out, limiting the one shot.
Neysmith backdoor cutting his Ross, and he was fouled.
He's a guy that had 2 points, 1 rebound, but he's had 2 fouls, taking himself out of the game.
So 4 now for Ross as Alan Payne comes back in for the Tigers.
And Barbie takes Ross out because he doesn't want him to pick up his 3rd foul. So depending on the situation, he'd probably try to go offense-defense if he can.
Gabriel has 2, Ross has 2, and Forbes has 2. Langford on the bench with 3 for Auburn.
And now Barbie changed it up. He goes a little 1-2-2 zone defense. We've seen man, we've seen 2-3, we've seen a 3-2, trying to keep Alabama on their heels.
Relaford with 9 to shoot, took too many steps, travels in the corner. Another turnover for Bama. That's 11 on the night.
I was wondering how he made it by Chubb so quickly. He made it look too easy.
Cheated. 3:12 to go here in the half. Wow. Boy, Denson had to contend with the net. Save that from going out of bounds. Neysmith going around Mitchell. Spits it back out. Payne for 3, and it rolls in.
But it was the penetration for Auburn that time by the dribble. Collapses the defense. Nice job of finding the open man on the perimeter. Takes an uncontested shot and knocks it down.
He's one of 3 true freshmen for these Tigers. They're all left-handed. And the southpaw got that one to go. It's a 17-2 run for the Tigers. Inside, here's Green. A little up and under. Got it to go off the glass.
Did a nice job that time by Mitchell. Catching the ball in the mid-post. Reverse pivot. That way you can see the whole floor instead of having your back to the basket that far out on the floor itself.
13-point game. Crowd trying to get behind these Crimson Tide. Shot is strong for Payne. Steal the rebound. Relaford looking for help. 2 minutes to go in the half. Green had it taken away. Here comes Neysmith. 3-on-1 if they hurry. Payne got it stuck. And the possession arrow favors Alabama. Coming up in the Cellular South halftime report, what to watch for. It's a big weekend ahead in the SEC. They're all big now with just a couple of weekends to go. We'll have news and notes, plus highlights and stats coming your way on the Cellular South halftime report.
Well, like in this game right here, you got Alabama trying to build momentum heading into the SEC and the NCAA tournament, where he has Auburn trying to get a few wins under their belt, build momentum for the offseason heading into next year.
Relaford from the top of the key. His three won't go. Tipped up, and Green makes sure. This time, no whistle.
Not necessarily a quality shot that time by Relaford because the ball stayed out on the perimeter, but the big guys for Alabama step in and make it pay.
And the Tide force another Tigers turnover.
And again, Relaford, yes, he is open, but that's, still plenty of time on the shot clock. But that time, Green can't get it. I mean, JaMychal Green can't get it. You get a second chance opportunity.
It's the second Green dunk here in this game. Big possession here for the Tide, trying to get it back to single digits with a minute to go. Green is fouled, and they're going to get Rob Chubb. He contests that call, but it is going to go against Chubb. His second.
We've seen that numerous times now from Auburn. No need for Chubb to try to poke from behind. Stay between Green and the basket. Once he catches it, then if he decides to try to take it up, move your feet and contest the shot. But a good Alabama that time. A lot of people, when you talk about penetration, Clay, they say you got to do it on the dribble. Actually, penetration on the pass is a lot more effective.
Green has another foul shot coming. You'll remember early in the season, JaMychal Green was suspended by the team for 3 games for conduct detrimental to the team. And we talked to Anthony Grant about Green now, and he is all about his maturity and how much of a team leader he's been. He learned a lot from that early season setback.
Well, at any level, high school, college, NBA, the one thing that coaches control that players covet, regardless if you're getting paid or you're an amateur, is playing time. And if you don't let a guy play, he'll straighten his act up real quick.
Under a minute to go. Foul on Steele. His second.
The one thing that I always question, as we talked about this, I don't like to talk about the officiating too much, is when you see a play from behind, you see the official call the play from behind, and it almost looks like he's blocked out from what happens. But yet, he felt that there was enough contact that time by the Alabama defenders to make the call.
So here's Josh Wallace at the line. 1-1. Missed it. Mitchell, the rebound. And there's about 15-second difference between game clock and shot clock. Tipped out of bounds. Alabama has a 22 to shoot. And coming back in is Alan Payne for the Tigers. Seconds to go before halftime. Steele for Green. Outside, here's Hankerson into the game. Charles Hankerson. Big three-pointer for Alabama. He doesn't get a lot of minutes. Big contribution there. 10 seconds before half. Last shot for Auburn. Wallace throws it to an open wing, and they run out of time.
See points off turnovers for Auburn, 8. Alabama, and also another stat that wasn't up. Alabama has not lost on the paint all year long. We're right out there looking up at a deficit 16-6 in the Auburn Tigers.
Tigers have the opening possession half, trying to stop a 9 Alabama run going back first half. He had that partially blocked. Last touch by Alabama. And that's the right call. The officials were on that.
And the question is, what can Tony Barr be, the head coach of Auburn team, They were able to hit the basket with penetration on bounds, get some nice hits. They struggled late, couldn't get the ball into the crevices of the Alabama defense. They really need to get a score here, kind of get themselves going again on the end of the floor.
Gabriel the corner, high arching three. Rogers to save it, and Doug Gabriel with a nifty play.
But a nice Gabriel of coming and actually taking the ball away from Trevor, who was actually waiting for the ball to him.
Auburn had a 15-point, 1 point in the first half.
What we hear is what separates Alabama from other teams. They're big for Chris Hines. Also other guys.
Blocked by Green, out of bounds.
They're bigs. Nice job by Green. Bigs can get out and pressure you 18, 20 feet from the basket. Come in. Nice job on some serious ground by Jermichael Green.
And 3 blocks against on Saturday. 2 to shoot. And that's poked away. Shot clock violation.
It's just amazing, though, the difference in the two teams. It has a lot more talent than what they also have is the confidence to know that, hey, we can on our defense. When we're struggling on the offense floor, we know that our defense will get us into the game regardless of the score. Auburn does not have that confidence. You can see that go throughout the game when they have droughts on the offensive end. At times they cannot make it up on the defense.
Alabama 3 blocks in that Auburn position alone. Here's Mitchell. Brains. 5 to shoot. Mitchell. Stutter step to travel. This is a game of runs. Auburn started an 11-1 run. Alabama answered back. The big game so far, a 17-2 Auburn run. That's where they built the 15-point lead. Couldn't hold on to the double-digit lead going into the lock.
And Auburn has got to find a way to get number 33, Ernest Ross, going.
Here he is for 3. Yes! There you go. You say it and he answers.
Oh, as we talked about over the last 4 games, he's averaging more than 19 points a game. He's been their main offensive weapon. Alabama did a nice job in that first half of limiting his touches.
And another travel call, this time on Green.
Nice job by the Auburn defense. What Jermichael Green needs to do there, instead of trying to split the defense, put the ball on the floor, dribble back, pull the defense to him, then split the double team and get it to another player.
Presses on. 5-second call. There's that vaunted Alabama defense. Boy, they do that better than any team in the league.
But Josh Wallace, who's taking the ball out of bounds for Auburn, should have a count in his head. And if he gets to 3.5, he should be calling timeout.
Hillman dumps it inside for Green, poked away. And now Ross is fouled at midcourt.
Now we've started the second half exactly like the game itself started. Sloppy. Both teams trying to impose their will on the other team with their defensive effort.
Second on Hillman. Turnovers for Alabama, 13 for Auburn. And another turnover. And a foul called here on Gabriel. It's an illegal screen, and that's the 3rd on Kenny Gabriel.
See, I see that, and I never saw Gabriel trying to set a screen. I thought that was more accidental contact, but then the official sees it another way.
Wow, this game just has lacked flow and lacked rhythm at times.
And aesthetically, it has not been very appealing for the casual fan, but all in all, it's actually been a good game.
And that one missed everything. Relaford didn't even draw iron on that shot.
Everybody would love to see a high-scoring, end-to-end offensive explosion by both teams, but this is what gets you deep into the SEC tournament. This is what gets you deep in the NCAA tournament, is finding ways to keep yourself into the game regardless of how you struggle on the offensive end of the floor.
Alabama's last NCAA tournament appearance came in 2006, a second-round loss to UCLA. Anthony Grant has a team that is certainly in the talk for an NCAA tournament bid. Double-teamed as Wallace. He's in trouble. And a timeout called.
When the game's over, the antics should be over.
Choppy play in the first half. It has continued so far this half. Auburn 1 for 5 from the field with 3 turnovers. Alabama 0 for 1 with 3 turnovers. Good defense there by Alabama. 10-second call as Wallace, who's the best Auburn ball handler, can't get it into the front court.
But you see him talking to his teammates about come to the ball. When he picks it up like that, he needs help in the backcourt. For the most part, he's done a nice job of getting it, reverse pivoting, squaring up, telling his teammates to go down the floor to take their man with him, and then he bringing the ball up. At that time, he got in the double team, and then he picked up the dribble.
They're doing what they can to save those trees. And maybe those big oaks are going to make it after all. Quite a story. Hillman tries to throw it inside for Hines, knocked around, loose in the corner. Wallace has it for Auburn. And now Gabriel has it poked away, and last touch by Relaford.
At that time, though, what Gabriel's got to do, though, when he catches that ball, Clay, is just catch it, hesitate for a second, read the defense. He immediately caught it, put the ball down on the floor like he was going to go somewhere, but yet he had nowhere to go. You always hear head coaches talking about don't waste your dribble.
Here's Tony Neysmith, who did not play against Vandy on Saturday. Now he's hemmed up. Got it ahead to Gabriel. Alan Payne had it blocked, got it back. 13 on the shot clock. Neysmith for Payne, spinning, and he's fouled.
Nice job that time by Payne getting into the paint. Comes across the dribble, gets the defense to commit, and then steps through. But a lot of times you have to talk to the kids about don't predetermine what it is you want to do with your move. Let the defense dictate what's available and what you can do. Too many times you see offensive players predetermine what they want to do, and then you see them make bad moves, or they travel, or they commit turnovers because the defense is already there preventing them to do what it is they were trying to do, but they'd already decided in their mind.
It's back to a double-digit lead for Auburn. They led by 15 at one point in the first half. Hankerson back into the game for Alabama. He's number 2 in white. Steele driving, got it, and one.
But early on here, Clay, nice job of Auburn reestablishing themselves in this game, getting it back up to a double-digit lead.
Steele with an injury-plagued career, but he's got it back to a single
game with his 3 fouls. Obviously, he feels, no pun intended, that the tide is starting to turn for the Auburn Tigers.
Steele can't get the three-point play, but the putback by Hines. So it works out for the Tide, and they're back within 6. And this sellout crowd here at Coleman Coliseum is appreciative. 3rd straight sellout in this building.
Alabama extending that 2-3 zone well past the three-point line.
Ten seconds on the shot clock. Denson throws it up and got it. Tough shot.
Well, that time, number 22 for Alabama, Andrew Steele, did a nice job, but then he rotated, took himself away from the basket, tried to prevent Auburn from passing out of the perimeter. You always got to stay between the ball and the basket.
Back to an 8-point game. Relaford still without a field goal here tonight. He pulls up for 3. And there is a whistle and a foul before the shot. This is going to go against Chubb. And that's his 3rd.
But you look here, right here, you see 22. Hines, for whatever reason, he tried to get around Chris Denson to prevent him from passing the ball back out of the perimeter. You always got to stay between your man and the basket. Keep that from happening.
Gabriel, Chubb, and Ross all check out with 3 fouls. I mean, you mentioned it. Where is the offense for Auburn going to come from? I mean, they have had trouble scoring the basketball anyway this season.
Is Alan Payne their guy? Right now, Alabama has two guys, number 44, Chris Hines, and JaMychal Green, working hard inside the post, asking for that pass.
Steele lobs it up. A blocking foul called on Auburn. It's against Forbes. And now Adrian Forbes has 3.
Interesting enough, it was 44 Hines, not JaMychal Green, going to the guards, talking to him about what he's doing in there with JaMychal, about how they need to pass the ball into the post. When you talk about passing into the post, not necessarily an air pass, but a bounce pass. That's the pass into the post that's more difficult for the defense to get to.
Steele has 2 shots coming. He missed the first 13 games of the season with a bad knee. He had a stress fracture last year in his left ankle, which kept him out the entire season. It's been a tough career here in Tuscaloosa so far for Andrew Steele. He's made a nice contribution tonight off the bench.
Steele misses that free throw, but here's what experience does for you. Hines has been talking to his teammates. Prior to that free throw, he was motioning to Anthony Grant, the head coach for Alabama, to get his attention, to talk to him. And that's what you get when you have senior leadership out on the floor.
Steele has missed 3 straight free throw attempts. Alabama with an RBI in the upper 70s can't afford a loss here to Auburn tonight. Alongside Will Purdue, I'm Clay Matvick. We're in Tuscaloosa. Auburn has never trailed in this game. And Alabama has yet to lose at home this season. Denson, quick feed to Gabriel. Denson for 3. And the lefty misses. Gabriel the rebound. And he's mugged by Green. Second on JaMychal Green.
And it's hard to tell how much of the ball or how much of the arm he had on that specific play, but a lot of times, you have the discussion. He definitely got arm on that. Nice call by the official, but that's a discussion you have amongst coaches, and that's their biggest fear when you go to a 2-3 type zone. And a lot of times when you extend it the way that Alabama does, you give up. You don't necessarily give up rebounding position, but you go to, instead of rebounding against a man, you rebound an area, and you don't put a body on a guy. That time, Kenny Gabriel got to the basketball uncontested. Nobody ever put a body on him, and he came out from outside the floor at 15, 18 feet to garner that rebound.
Gabriel got 1 of 2.
Almost like a game of hot potato.
Had that feel ever since the opening tip.
What Alabama has to be careful of, if they continue to allow Auburn to maintain this lead, their confidence grows with each tick of the clock. And all of a sudden, they start looking at themselves and say, hey, we belong here. We can beat this team. And then Alabama will really find themselves, regardless of how good their defense is, putting themselves in a position to win.
Hines gets it back out on the perimeter. 10 to shoot. Relaford has it. Steele for Green. Turnaround jumper. No good. And Neysmith with the rebound for Auburn. Now, Auburn this season has wins over Florida State, South Carolina, and Mississippi State, where they were the underdogs. Got it done. This would be a huge one against their rivals.
I think huge would be an understatement, considering they've only got 2 wins in the SEC all year.
Coming up on 13 minutes to play. 10 to shoot. They get it back to the point for Neysmith. He's a long way from the basket. 4 on the shot clock. Gabriel can't get it to go. Alabama needs to pick it up from the field. They're at 27% on the night. There's an in-close look, but the foul before the shot. It's on Gabriel, and that's number 4 on Kenny Gabriel, one of the better players for this Auburn team.
What you just saw right there from JaMychal Green is what is tough to teach big man. You've got to run to the basket and bury your man underneath the basket, then call for the ball. Don't just run to the block.
Hankerson, that might have been partially blocked by Forbes. So an empty possession for the Tide.
He definitely got a piece of it.
This crowd has just been waiting to erupt, but they haven't had a lot of opportunities in this game. Forbes going in, and they're going to call a jump ball. Doug Shows, the official, said jump ball right away. Good defense there by Alabama.
Well, what Forbes should have done right there is once the ball was, he gets the pass here. Step to it, look to explode. It's almost like he gave up once Chris Hines got a hand on the ball. You got to try to take it through the defense and finish.
That's what Chris Hines does so well. He's got a blue collar role. He's really good defensively and on the glass. They call him JYD for Junkyard Dog. Nine-point lead for Auburn. Steele, his three off the rim. And Wallace, the shortest man on the floor with the long rebound.
Remember, Auburn can only defend so much. So you ask, okay, what are you willing to live with? Well, they're willing to live with Alabama taking three-point shots. Because right now, I think that makes them 2 for 8.
Ross buries the triple from the corner.
And Auburn makes them pay on the other end of the floor. Those three-pointers are going to be there all night for Alabama. Still got to get the ball into the post.
Back to a double-digit cushion for the Tigers. That's the second three of the half for Ross. Anthony Grant wants a timeout.
It almost looks like right now that Alabama's a little confused, and they're in a position where they really don't know what to do against this Auburn defense. It's obvious they have not been in this position in a long time.
Fans, what better way to spend the holidays than in Honolulu? Don't miss out on the action as the Tigers compete with Clemson, Hawaii, UTEP, and more. For the Hawaiian Airlines Diamond Head Classic, December 22nd, 23rd, and 25th. For tickets and travel, visit www.hawaiianairlinesdiamondheadclassic.com. In Southern Illinois and Auburn were added to this list today.
Hold on a second. I got to write down the golf tournament. See if I can get in on that. Then get down to Hawaii. I'm telling you, regardless of what you see on the floor here, the most improved team in the SEC next year, East or Western Division, is going to be the Auburn Tigers.
They've got some great players coming in. Veras Ward, a transfer out of Texas. Noel Johnson out of Clemson. Plus, they're going to get Frankie Sullivan, who's out for the year with a left knee injury. And junior guard will be coming back next year healthy. 3 to shoot. Trying to get it in. No. Loose on the floor. Mitchell comes away with it. Here's Mitchell. Out of control. A blocking foul on Auburn. Alabama, coming into this game, had trailed for less than 30 minutes of game time at home this season. They have trailed from the outset in this one.
And they're also, just as you point out, they're 14-0 at home. Have not lost on this floor this season.
Here's Langford. He's one of the Tigers in foul trouble. He's got 3. He sat up a lot of this half so far. Forbes and Gabriel both playing with 4. Wallace, he's in trouble down there. Neysmith, teardrop, doesn't go off the rim. Steele on the run. Here comes Alabama. Jarvis Davis thought about pulling the trigger on a 3. Hands off for Mitchell. Keeps it alive on the baseline.
Nice job by Mitchell of chasing that loose ball down and getting it back, getting it to a teammate as he falls out of bounds. There's some wrestling going down in the paint down there. I was about to say between Chubb and Jermichael Green.
And Chubb just picked up his 4th. We showed you one of the SEC's great traditions, brought to you by Champion back in the first half. Well, what's your favorite? You can vote on your favorite tradition by going to facebook.com/champion and clicking on the poll tab. Jermichael Green, 9 points in the first half. Nothing here in the second half so far.
I keep reiterating, I hate to sound like a broken record, but there's still basically 10 minutes on the clock, 9:57, so you have plenty of time. You're down by 11. He knocks his free throw in, you're down 10. It's still double digits, but make stops. And then be patient on the offensive end of the floor and be patient by getting the ball into the post.
In and out. And a foul underneath. And it's on Hines. Bruce Hines just picked up his 3rd foul.
But Hines needs to be careful. That's a tough one because it almost basically looked like the ball went over Chubb's head and he jumped back into Hines.
And another whistle.
Boy, Wallace was trying to sell that like a used car salesman, and he finally got the official to bite.
2nd on Eblin.
But for Auburn, if they can handle the pressure by Alabama. Remember, we talked about this. Auburn's basically been trying to emulate what Alabama has done all year by winning on the defensive end of the floor. What was it? You and I were talking prior to this. Tony Barbee. And there's Alabama. So Auburn stepping out of bounds. But Tony Barbee went through a 2-week period where he had defensive practices only.
And we've really seen it pay dividends here in the last couple of months in particular. Just defensive-only practices.
And you may say, well, you know what? That's not aesthetically pleasing. That's not pretty basketball. Well, I understand that, but Tony Barbee's made a decision that that's the best chance the Auburn Tigers have to winning is to ugly up a game, winning on the defensive end.
33 total fouls in this one. He's been physical and choppy. But you know what? Barbee says he's having the most fun he's ever had. And here his Tigers come away with another Alabama turnover. Wallace will pull it back out.
As much as he said this team has struggled, the thing that they've done.
And a technical foul called on the Auburn bench.
But here's what's going on. Barbee doesn't like what happened after the foul was called. And he got into the ear of the official that was standing in front of him asking for extracurricular. Watch this. Basically, JaMychal Green takes Chubb and throws him down to the ground after the whistle was already blown. Now, according to the letter of the law, that is considered to be extracurricular activity, and that itself should have been a technical. But the official that made the call, Ted Valentine, did not see that. So then that's why Tony Barbee, I think he was yelling at Mike Nance, who was the official in front of him, to call the extracurricular activity, and he didn't do it.
So Chubb is the first to foul out for Auburn here tonight. He fouls out with 2 points. Charvez Davis to shoot 2 technical fouls.
And in my opinion, what should be the Auburn Tigers going to the free throw line to shoot 2 free throws for what should have been a technical call on JaMychal Green. Now Tony Barbee gets to technical, and Alabama goes to the free throw line.
Davis gets 1 of 2. It's back to a 10-point difference. Barbee with the technical foul.
But look at him. He gets his team around him. He says, listen, guys, this is our game now. And I'm sure he's not saying this is our game to lose, because that's the last thing he wants to say to this team. But much like practice, and what they call in that first foul was a player-controlled foul. So that's why Alabama did not shoot the free throws on the other end of the floor. But they, with the technical, but they also maintained possession of the ball.
Davis out on the floor with Relaford and Hines, Green, and Steele.
But look at Auburn. They're not backing down. They're still trying to keep the pace up.
Hines can't get it to go a little strong. There's Green working hard underneath. He's stripped. And it belongs to Auburn. Nope. Excuse me, that's going to belong to Alabama. The fans wanted a foul.
And look at number 33 for Auburn, Ernest Ross. He's hurt his hand. And this is one guy with Chubb fouling out that Tony Barbee can ill afford to lose. And you see the official talking to him, asking if he needs to call a timeout.
Forbes sits down. He's got 4. Gabriel's over there. He's also got 4 fouls. Three-pointer, no good. Ross tips it out. Armstrong tracks it down. And Auburn has it. Under 9 minutes to go. Auburn has led from the starting gate. Here's Langford.
Ernest Ross for Auburn is still shaking his hand.
Armstrong can't hold on to it. Relaford got it and won.
You get yourself airborne like that. Relaford basically had nowhere to go, threw himself into the defense. See the ball starts to go out of bounds. Try to save it. Watch as Relaford gets himself in trouble, initiates the contact. Here's the whistle, throws it up at the basket, gets it to drop in.
That was the one player on the Auburn roster who could afford to give up a foul. Tony Neysmith picking up his first as Relaford stands in. That was his first field goal of this game, believe it or not. Three-point play, and that's exactly what Alabama needed. It's a 7-point game as Mitchell comes back in.
Well, if there's any doubt what's going on now, the crowd's back into it.
Wallace zigzagging, strong shot. Relaford turned it over. He hung in midair trying to get it to Green, but it was a little bit behind him.
You hear coaches all the time, no need to get up in midair. If you don't have anything, just pull the ball back out. You're only down 7. Run the offense, get a good quality shot.
18th turnover tonight for Alabama. That's been their Achilles heel. Their season high this year, 22.
See, I don't like the fact that they actually brought the screen to Ross. That allows Alabama to double team off the ball. I think Ross is a good enough player where he can just attack the defense.
Get out of here with an upset win. They have led from the outset, 41-34, under 8 to go. Here's a look at our Haviland defensive shield. And 4 of the 5 steals leaders in the SEC are playing in this game. Josh Wallace leads the league with 2 per game for Auburn. Mitchell, Relaford, and Ross also high on that list. 7 steals tonight for Auburn, 6 for Alabama. And Will, from the very beginning of this game, every play, every pass has been contested for both sides.
What you don't see there is there's 36 turnovers, 18 for each. But they also, I would love to see the deflection charts. Teams now keep deflections. And they talk about how they want 30 to 35 deflections a game. And those also create turnovers.
10 to shoot for Auburn out of the timeout. Forbes spins, and he's bumped. And that's going to go against Relaford. 3rd on Trevor Relaford.
And I understand Relaford dropping down in there to help out with the double team. But when an offensive player in that time, and Adrian Forbes goes up to shoot a shot, just back off. Because at that point, your man, I think it was Hines, did a nice job of just staying in between Forbes and the basket. Make him hit a tough little hook shot from 8 to 9 feet.
That was the 6th team foul on Alabama. Auburn already with 10, so Alabama, they're shooting 2 the rest of the way in this one. That could be significant.
But also for Alabama, don't put the official in a position where you can bail out Auburn. Because more times than not, the official will blow the whistle and make the call against you.
7 points tonight for Adrian Forbes, and that's about all Tony Barbie could ask from Adrian Forbes. He's played well here tonight. He'll go sit down. He's got 4 fouls.
Well, as a guy that averages 4 points a game, that's still learning how to play. He's really only played organized basketball for 4 years.
Hines got it into the front court. 7.5 to go. Tony Mitchell has been quiet tonight, just 4 points for Alabama. He's got it now on the wing. Chavez Davis skip pass. Mitchell open for 3. No good. Backside. Held on to by Wallace on the baseline. Who's got it? It's going to belong to Auburn, and there's a foul call. There's a foul called on Chris Hines, and he just picked up his 4th personal.
Well, that's the tough thing right there, because look who ends up with the ball. The smallest man on the floor, Josh Wallace. List him at 5'10". He's probably only about 5'8". And he basically bounces I'm not sure if that's a foul or not, but because he throws his body into Chris Hines, who's 6'8", 227, and bounces off. Teddy Valentine, who is the official standing out from us, sees Wallace go flying out of bounds.
And now Wallace is going to be charged with a foul.
And now the difference is, as you pointed out prior, now Alabama goes for 2, where right now Auburn is still shooting the front end of 1-and-1, and unfortunately Wallace misses a golden opportunity for the Tigers.
Now, Tony Barbie was telling you and I about Wallace. You know, he doesn't have a ton of skill. In fact, he probably won't be the point guard next year when Veras Ward gets his eligibility. But he's got a big heart.
But he's basically a walk-on that loves the game of basketball.
One more coming for Davis. Alabama tonight has hit 17 free throws. Tonight, though, they have only hit 8 field goals. Some big makes for Davis.
But that's basically where Alabama has lived, on the free throw line. Their ability to knock down the free throws is what's kept them in striking distance.
Just 24% from the field is Bama tonight.
Nice job that time by Wallace. He penetrates, doesn't see anything, pulls the ball back out, runs some offense, runs some time off the clock.
This crowd getting behind this defense, looking for a stop. Ross with 10 to shoot. Wallace. That belongs to Alabama.
When you look out on the floor for Auburn, you ask yourself, who else wants to take the shot? Is there anybody out there calling for the ball? You talked about it. Wallace plays with a lot of heart and a lot of determination. And sometimes he tries to force the action because he's not afraid. And that's the one thing about Tony Barbie. He's talking to him over on the bench about that. But at the same time, you got to be smart.
Mitchell. Good defense. Davis backs it out. And now a whistle away from the ball, a foul on Auburn. It's going to go against Langford, and that's his 4th.
It's been a pushing match down in the block tonight. I mean, you've seen JaMychal Green and Chubb. Chubb fouled out. That time, Josh Langford, JaMychal Green. You've seen Chris Hines, number 44 for Alabama. He's been down there mixing it up.
This place quiet as a church with Green at the line.
I was about to say, can it get any quieter here by Alabama shooting free throws? I would think that that's almost tougher than having crowd noise in the background.
Green is 73% foul shooter. Good foul shooter for a big man. Alabama as a team 73%. If this comes down to free throws, the Tide certainly have an advantage. 12 tonight for JaMychal Green. Alabama now on a 9-2 run.
Well, remember what I talked about earlier. This was Auburn's game to lose because of the way the game was being played in the tempo. And all they have to do is handle the pressure from Alabama. But as you pointed out, a 9-2 run created by the pressure of the Alabama defense.
Auburn had a 15-point lead late in the first half and let Alabama go on a 9-0 run before the break. And the Tide are creeping back in this one, down 5.
Here's the guy. If Auburn's going to maintain this lead and win this game, number 33, Ernest Ross, has got to come alive here. He's got to make something happen.
Gabriel for 4. It's 3 to shoot. Neysmith missed the rim. Shot clock violation.
And thwarting that momentum and kind of basically got it back out to a double-digit lead. But can they hold on here the last 5:25?
We're in Tuscaloosa alongside Will Purdue. I'm Clay Matfield. Alabama has trailed for the entirety of this game. Alabama can ill afford a loss to last place Auburn if they're going to keep those NCAA tournament hopes in check. They're down 5 to shoot. 3 on the way from Relaford. Missed everything. Another shot clock violation. We have seen 3 or 4
aggressive Auburn defense. If you can get the ball in the post, let him go to work. And if he gets double teamed, we've seen and I've seen in games in the past, he does a nice job of finding the open man out on the perimeter.
2:35 to play. Wallace had it poked away by Relaford. Loose on the floor. Jump ball possession arrow favors the Tigers. Nope. They're going to say Alabama got it, and a timeout called by Anthony Grant.
Now the question is that the time, but also look at that strength of schedule. You look at those losses. Not only did they lose to Iowa, they lost to Oklahoma State. They've lost to in the Big East Providence, but they also lost to Seton Hall. And unfortunately, when they lost to these teams, those teams were actually playing well. Seton Hall and Providence, I think, both had one win at the time. They're not; those teams aren't playing as well in conference. But when you start to look at the resume of Alabama, you're like, who have they beaten out of conference? Nobody. They really etched their strengths of schedule, and really the only quality wins in conference have been against Kentucky and Tennessee. We talked about these games. Auburn, Ole Miss can only hurt them, cannot help them.
Mitchell. And he is fouled. Did not make the NCAA tournament. That could happen again if Alabama doesn't win here tonight.
You know what it is that they have to do. They got at Ole Miss, a game that they basically have to win. And then really the only game that can help them on their schedule, basically the last two. At Florida and home against Georgia. Two teams right now that Joe Lunardi say are in the NCAA tournament.
Back within 3 are the tie. 4.5 to go. All the momentum belongs to Alabama. And Neysmith calls a timeout. 2 remain.
Would be their first game. They need to get to the semifinal or even the final so they can pad the number of wins that they have.
There's a 6-point lead for Auburn at halftime. It's now 3. Ross blocked by Green. And now a foul in the backcourt. And this is going to...
The situation reversed. Auburn is up 3, but in Auburn was down 2 with a little over 5 minutes to go. Over the next 4 minutes, they get outscored 10-0, and mostly because of unforced turnovers, and they were not able to get shots up at the basket.
Steele got the back in. And it's a 2-point game, and the crowd coming to its feet. Sellout crowd here at Coleman Coliseum. Full court pressure by the Tide.
Now Alabama extends out into a man-to-man.
They're going to get Green here with a foul. Turn his head to some of the sloppy play we have seen. It's been a dogfight here, but Auburn leading by 2 with under 4 minutes to go. They're at the free throw line now. Forbes can't get it to go.
Lane violation from outside the three-point line.
It's on Relaford.
But the difference between these two teams now in this second half is the inability of Auburn to knock down a free throw. They are now 8 of 17 after that air ball for the game, where Alabama is 23 for 32. They've doubled them up on free throw attempts. Remember, the free throws that Auburn is missing are the front ends of 1 and 1. Now, even though it says 8 of 17 in the scorebook, it should probably read more like 8 of 21, 8 of 22, because they're never getting to that second free throw.
Barbie has had to do a lot of substituting here in the half because he's had guys in foul trouble since the beginning of the half.
Well, it's still going offense, defense, as you talked about, trying to keep the guys that he does have available on the floor and out of foul trouble.
Chubb and Ross have already fouled out for Auburn. Under 4 minutes to go. 2-point game. Auburn has never trailed. Steele in trouble. Relaford around for Davis for 3. In and out. Tipped up and in by Steele.
But again, 2-3 zone that time by Auburn. Steele comes all the way from...
It's a 14-2 run over the last 7 minutes for Alabama. Auburn has gone more than 8 minutes without a field goal. Wallace dribbles it off his leg.
Out of his mouth was 19 turnovers.
Auburn has been coming apart here in the last 10 minutes.
And here with 3 minutes to go, Auburn now has 21 turnovers in this game.
Green fouled from behind and Gate.
Though their record doesn't indicate it, as they're only 2-10 in the SEC.
First lead of the game for Alabama.
Who does Auburn look to either get points through their offense or possibly get to the free throw line and get some points?
Neysmith got it. Auburn goes back in front, 2.5 to go.
So he comes off the screen. Jermichael Green comes over to help. He gives a nice little pump fake, freezes Jermichael Green just long enough that he can get the shot up over the extended arms of the defender.
They go back to Green. Quickly double teamed, another foul call for Alabama. Tied up again.
Convincingly, because to pass the eye test.
In and out.
Well, if they do win, it's not going to be big, but it's a win nonetheless.
Here comes the crowd again, just over 2 to go. Denson had his pocket picked. Steele leans in. Tipped up and in. Tony Mitchell. That's his first field goal tonight.
Because you just don't know what's going to happen in these rivalry games.
Payne to get it in. Auburn with a skeleton squad. 3 guys, make that 4 guys who fouled out. Payne, travel. Turnovers tonight for Auburn. And 3 of the last 4 possessions, they are completely coming unglued. At one point in this game, they had a 15-point lead, 12-point lead here in the half. Relaford finds a wide open. Hines goes up with a slam. Wallace on the run. And he's fouled by Relaford.
Basically, the only reason that Ty Armstrong's into the game because of the foul trouble by the Auburn Tigers.
Another free throw coming for Wallace. Auburn only 9 of 17 from the line tonight.
And all the players for Auburn are looking over at Tony Barbee, and I was reading his lips. All he's telling his guys to do is just relax. Our side is that Jamel Green.
Knee surgery back in August.
For me, as an independent party, it looked like that the hook occurred first before Ty Armstrong stuck out the leg.
Big mid.
Call was made that you thought was wrong, and the guy missed the first free throw. He used to scream, "Ball don't lie."
And Alabama goes back in front by a point with 44 seconds to go. Andrew Steele comes back in defensively. Davis, the shooter, goes out.
Now the question for Auburn is, though, do they go quickly to try to go 2 for 1? You don't see that a lot in college.
Timeout, and Auburn is out. And they have the arrow behind him. It is Tony Neysmith to trigger it in from the sideline. Got an 8-second difference between game and shot clock. Langford in and out. Relaford the rebound. And they foul Relaford. This is his 4th point here tonight.
Still, for Auburn, no need to panic. Still 28.4 seconds on the clock. Even if he makes this, you're only down 3.
And
That's the second time he's done that tonight.
So good for Alabama, and they got a 2-point lead now with 28 seconds to go. Shot clock is off. Neysmith. Shot good, and we're tied with 13 to play. Here comes Alabama quickly. And a timeout, Anthony. They only gave up the lead late here in the second half. It's now tied with just seconds to go.
But what we haven't seen here is the total collapsibility now of winning their third against a crosstown rival.
Who do you want to take this shot?
For Alabama, it doesn't matter. Whoever's open.
7
You
to
don't
go.
have to necessarily run it for one guy.
Mitchell. He takes it. Slices in. Shot. Tipped up and in. Michael Green. Oh. And Alabama escapes with a win.